Welcome to the short lecture series on Silk by Alessandro Barrico. In this lecture, we will be discussing chapter 21 to 25. Herve Joncour meets Harake again on the third day of his visit, and they take a walk to the crest of a hill where big blue birds are flying in the sky, almost hiding it. Harake informs that the local people read their future in this bird's flight. And when he was young, he was brought there by his father, who gave him an arrow and asked him to shoot down a bird to find his fortune. The two men spent the afternoon together talking about many things in their lives. And when Harake finally leaves, Joncour inquires about when would Harake tell him about the girl that he had seen last time. Harake leaves without responding, as if the question was never uttered. On the last day of his visit, Joncour examines Harake's aviary of rare birds as he takes a walk through the village. He recalls a story about how men in the East honored the fidelity of their mistresses by gifting them with exotic birds rather than jewelry. The number of rare birds that are in the aviary tells him that there is a number of mistresses that Harake has. He stops right outside Harake's house, which has no doors, and watches the play of light and shadows and silence on the paper walls from which the house is made. In the evening, he packs up his bag and goes for his usual bath. But he's surprised when a veil is placed on his eyes after he enters the bath. And when he tries to remove it, a hand stops him from doing that. He also realizes that this hand is not the hand of the three older women who have been assisting him to take a bath. The hands that bathe him and dry him are clearly that of a younger woman. And before leaving, that hand places something in his palm. Jonco holds on to that thing until he is completely alone and then finally opens it to discover a scrap of paper with a message in Japanese character. Now, looking at these three chapters, we can see that Harake pretends not to hear Joncour's question about his mistress, partly because it is more genteel to ignore Joncour's bad manners, because Joncour should have known that Harake would not want to talk about his mistress with him, and if he really wanted to introduce her to him, he would have done that long ago in the previous visit itself. Jonko has already inquired twice about the woman in this visit, and now Harake is wary of the Frenchman's intentions. A visit to Harake's elaborate aviary is a reminder to Joncour about the fidelity of Harake's mistresses, which is something that Harake would stress on. Such a large and well stocked aviary is a signal that the woman belongs completely to Harake. Symbolically, the caged birds also represent the lack of freedom that his mistresses have, who are secluded and colorful. For Harake, they are as much a pet as the birds. Showing the aviary is yet another way that Harake communicates quietly to Jonko that he has no business pursuing such thoughts. As Jonko has been blindfolded during the bathing ritual, he is unable to see who actually was bathing him. He assumes the folded note is from the mistress of Harake. The silk veil that covers his body assumes the place of the woman's body. The first chapter has already alluded to the feminine associations of silk. In this chapter, the silk embodies the physical body of a woman. In retrospect, the refusal of Helen to wear the gift of silk tunic that Joncour presented to her may not be because of modesty, but more like her acknowledgement that another woman has entered her husband's life and she didn't want to deal with it. Fire is again associated with women in these chapters. Jonko stares at the flame in his room because he cannot gaze at Harake's mistress. Now, moving on to chapter 24 to 25. The next day, Jonko left and on his way he paused outside the village, again a sign of his daring, paying no attention to the two people of Harake who are accompanying him. He carried with him the precious eggs which would provide livelihood to many and wealth to at least one tenth of Level Dew. After 3 months of travel, he reached Level Dew on the first Sunday in time for High Mass. His wife was already waiting for him at the gate, and she runs to him and states twice, "You have returned." For 41 days, Joncourt resumes a peaceful life that he leads in Lavilledieu with his wife. But finally, he gives in to his temptation and opens the small parchment and examines it. He seeks out Baldebou in Verdun after he is unable to decipher the message. He asks for somebody who knows how to read Japanese in France. Baldebou is playing billiards by himself, and he directs him to Madame Blanc, who owns a brothel in Nimes and who is a Japanese woman. Now, the analysis of chapter 24 to 25. Joncourt is escorted from the village by two men who are clearly the servants of Harake. Harake is ensuring that Joncourt does not make any attempts to meet his mistress. The two men would surely report back to Harake, and yet Joncourt pauses to stare at the house one last time. He's again making his personal interest too obvious to the wrong people. He arrives back without any incident and notices the velvety texture of his wife's voice, reminding him of what he has with her or what he shares with her. Velvet and silk are different types of fabrics, although both represent luxury and great wealth. Helene, Joncourt's wife, repeats her greeting as if she must convince herself that it is true that he is come back, and she is relieved in a way that she has not lost her husband to another woman. Or perhaps she is reminding herself that the life of loneliness that she has led in his absence is over. Baldebou plays billiard against his handicapped self or by shooting alternately with one hand. His manner of playing billiard also foreshadows his eventual departure when he announces that he will leave town when his handicapped self wins a game. This chapter also introduces us to a new character, Madame Blanc, who will be important in the events that will unfold now. Madame Blanc's past also throws light on the difficult circumstances under which women like her immigrated or were forcibly migrated to European countries from the South Asian countries. The overall analysis of these 5 chapters reveal the themes about illicit relationship, patriarchy, colonialism and imperialism, as well as a new element in these two factors of colonialism and imperialism, which is that of the status of women in migration. The techniques used are again symbolism, especially that of colors, a lot of contrast, especially between the worlds of the Japanese mistress and wife of Jonko. Gap filling and foreshadowing have also been used as techniques in these chapters. The next video will be on chapters 26 to 30.